Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. As you probably heard last week, Bernie's off in Africa. So he's happy. We didn't say he was vacationing. Well, anyway, he's healthy. He's just not here tonight.
Can you use the microphone?
I thought it picked up everything in the room.
It does, but they did this also projects so that everyone in the back.
Can everyone hear me? Thank you very much. Yeah, not the back row didn't answer, but I trust the next to best back row. We did the pledge, that's good. We have an announcement of a number of executive sessions. May 18th for legal matters, June 5th for finance, June 7th for personnel, June 9th personnel, June 14 legal, June 15 legal. There was also a special meeting that I was not able to attend, but I saw on the video that a number of you did on June 13th, 2023. Okay.
Sarah, could I ask a question about that?
Certainly.
So, you want to come to the microphone?
Oh, that's a really good idea. Thanks.
So I think it wasn't asked right at that meeting, but since the agenda wasn't posted 24 hours ahead, is there any issue that it's a sunshine law requirement? Is there any issue with the
George,
validity of the
which
meeting?
meeting?
The special meeting?
It was in the paper. It was advertised 24.
It was advertised, but the agenda was not
The
posted.
official announcement is the publication.
Yes, the meeting, all you need to do is announce what the meeting is for, and we did put a Sunshine Act notice in the newspaper indicating that we were going to be talking about personnel and employment
But
issues.
doesn't sunshine require the agenda to be posted on the website?
Well, I understood the agenda was posted.
It was posted on Monday morning,
Yeah.
or Tuesday morning, I'm sorry, which is less than 24 hours in advance.
So the key is the notice, but we did post the agenda prior to the meeting. So I think it was sufficient.
It happened in the morning, so 24 hours would have been the night.
Well, the notice was 24 hours in advance. That's the important thing.
So
And the
is it-
issue with the agenda is if you change the agenda during the meeting.
But I just looked at it today and it said it has to be posted 24 hours and then you can update it after. But the initial agenda has to be posted 24 hours. I don't know, I just bringing that to your attention.
Thank you. No, I don't think that changes the legality of the actual meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, George.
It was just an announcement.
So the special meeting we announced, we are scheduled now to have a continual conditional use hearing. Mark, would you just jump in there for a minute?
Yeah, we had scheduled a conditional use hearing. The application was, and you'll have to forgive me, it's for Ronnie and Wendy Tang Sipshong. I think that's how it's being pronounced, or at least that's the correct way to pronounce it. We advertised that hearing for tonight. We are going to continue that hearing with the agreement of the applicants. And because I'm opening the hearing, I'm going to make a note that there are certain hearing exhibits that I'll just place into the record. T1 is the application, T2 is the public notice, T3 is a proof of publication, T4 is an affidavit of posting of the notice on the property, and then T5 is an LTL May 11th engineering review letter. T6 is a Chester County Planning Commission May 17th review letter, and T7 is our meeting minutes from the Township Planning Commission. And so because we're opening the hearing tonight, I would just ask if anyone has any interest in this hearing or interest as a party to this hearing. So I'm not seeing anyone. we're not going to put another notice in the newspaper.
We're
We're gonna
officially
continue
continuing
that
it.
hearing, yes, until
Is it our
July,
next Board meeting?
yes,
or-
July 17th.
And that's because we don't have a court report.
That's because we
today.
don't have a-
That's why we're
Correct.
continuing it.
Due to the federal holiday. Okay, so the next item is to approve the minutes of May 15th and June 13th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 15th, 2023 meeting and June 13th, 2023 special meeting.
I will second that. Were there any comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
I
Aye, the motion carries. Okay, the next thing up is the chief with the police department report.
During the month of May, the police department had 194 calls for service, investigated 12 crimes, had 4 arrests, 71 traffic stops, and investigated 11 accidents. I also have, in addition, I'd like to bring an update to an incident that occurred yesterday. We're currently working with the Chester County detectives investigating a suspicious death and fire that occurred in the 2300 block of Eagle Farms Road yesterday, June 18th at approximately 5:30 p.m. The deceased individual has not been identified, and we are asking that anyone with information, including anyone who observed any people or vehicles in the area between 5 and 5:45, to contact our police department. There is no active threat to our community.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the treasurer's report. It says treasurer's report, including bills list, but I believe we'd like to handle those as 2 separate items.
Okay.
And our interim manager, Jackie, and our treasurer.
The general fund balance for May was $1,210,304.78. The ARPA fund had a balance of $127,558.64. Capital reserve, $2,391,245.33. Capital equipment, $468,325.35. Liquid fuel, $420,267.33. Road improvement is $3,145,494.96. Road improvement, $3,430,336.16. The sewer fund, $181,477.02. And the rebill fund had $819,694.91. Total revenue for all of the funds was $2,167,390.20.
I'm just
Thank
going
you.
to correct you there that I think you said road improvement twice. The first number was open space.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyone was confused?
They're so cute. Okay.
We were close.
Any comments or questions? John Eldridge.
John Eldridge, 1634 Hilltop Road, Bertrandville, PA. It looks to me like for year to date, you've removed the $233,000 of unexplained reconciliation. Is that true?
That is not true. What I did was, in an attempt to reconcile all the bank funds, I went back and undid all of the 2022 general fund bank reconciliations back to February, when the beginning balance actually matched what was in the bank. Then I redid all of the 2022 general fund bank statements down to the penny so that everything is now accurate. But if you're trying to go back to last year, the funds, the amounts are going to be different now because I'd go in and correct a whole bunch of bad bookkeeping.
Okay, is the 233,000 out no longer an expense for the year?
It's not an expense, and it was never an expense. It was just kind of put in as a general journal entry. It's kind of like a holding place till they could figure out where it went. And the only way to do that was to undo all the bank recs and then redo them correctly. So the 233,000 is no longer an issue, and the $1.5 million general journal is also gone. They were both negated when I went back and did the bank statements.
Okay, well, It's like it was just erased from the state.
It wasn't.
My issue is, if you have a $233,000 expense in January and it's gone in May, you have to put minus $233,000 in May.
No, because the money was always there. It just wasn't allocated properly.
We are gonna announce.
That's
some
irrelevant,
information.
because now every month's worth of statements is wrong by
Well-
$233,000.
That's incorrect, Mr. Eldridge.
Okay. Here's another case. Last month I said, because of a report from Keystone's Collects, we were short $167,000 in earned income tax for the township's balance. And that was the case. But now it showed up in April. It wasn't in April. Now it's in April. And I don't think you can do that either.
What the timing is that sometimes they send us these things and they're predated. Like, I'll get an email from Keystone, they'll say, we made this deposit, and I'll get it on May 1st, but it actually happened in April. So I deposit it when it says it was deposited. So it's a timing thing, you know. Sometimes they don't do stuff till the end of the month, but they don't send the emails out till 2 days later.
Yeah, but the tricky thing about that, the earned income tax amount in the open space was almost exactly correct. And so if they sent both, they normally would send the 2/3, 1/3, I guess, on the same day. And it just so happens that the open space was posted and the general fund was not.
Well, I'd have to go back and pull them, but as I said, I get emails from Keystone, and they tell me what day and what amount and what fund, and that's what we follow.
Okay. Further, in the general fund expenses, I think there's a line item. There's $167,000 for police car vehicle maintenance.
Yes, that was incorrectly coded by previous administration, and it was corrected this month. So we took the money out of the equipment fund. It was actually for a public works truck. And so we took the money out of the equipment fund and transferred it back into the general fund.
Okay. And then I guess also this month, there's no statement for open space, is there? Or is that
There was a
something I missed?
P&L. I mean, there's nothing going on in open space except for the revenue that we get for the EIT. And
Oh, so you got money, we always get money,
right, we always get money.
and so something went on.
Well, there's the profit and loss is there for the open space,
I couldn't see that, maybe I didn't print it.
and the revenues are listed for the open space.
The revenue is $820,520.83.
Oh, I didn't mean on that page, I meant a page, like a general fund page.
There is a
capital-
profit and loss. Yeah, there's profit and loss for every fund. One of them is the open space.
Okay.
Thank you, John. George?
Hi, George Delcinos, 1415 Hollow Road. So Jackie, just to follow up on what you told John, you went through last year and basically redid all the entries. And at the end of the year, everything balanced out.
I think what she said was she redid the reconciliation.
Yeah, I went back and redid all the bank recs,
Right,
general fund for 2022.
right.
And yes, all the money's there. It just wasn't allocated properly. There were some deposits and erroneous things that the previous people put in there that weren't actual, so I had to void
So
some things.
theoretically, you could look at what they did and see where they went off. And somewhere that should have added up to $233,000 of mistakes.
Right, exactly.
And that's just another, so you basically did it as if somebody was starting over and did it from scratch
Yes. And
by,
when you do that, you can see the mistakes, so I had to void a lot of things and change a lot of things to make it accurate, and that's what I did. And then at the end of December, it's down to the penny.
okay,
Everything's where it should be.
okay. Okay, thank you. I have one other question. So in the bills list, we have a number,
We'll get to the bills list.
oh, this is
Next.
just treasurer report? Okay.
Yeah, okay. Any other comments on the treasurer's report?
John Eldridge, 1634 Bertrand. If we found the 233,000, does that negate the need for the $25,000 forensic audit?
We'll get to that a little later in this meeting, but they're different. It's a matter of timing, John. We started the audit before that reconciliation was done.
It was as a
So-
result of.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Okay, any other comments on the treasurer's report? Thank you. We now need to approve the bills list.
Okay,
First, we have to do, yes, please, Dana.
I make the motion to approve the bills list for all township funds in the amount of $567,138.54.
And I will second that motion. Are there comments? I believe George Dolcino's got up first.
Sorry, we made you get up and down.
Oh, it's good for him.
In the bills list, there's a bunch of entries that say card member service, and I assume that's township credit cards, right?
it is.
So if somebody purchases a capital item with a credit card, how does that get allocated correctly?
Yeah, we don't make large purchases. Most of them are office supplies and things of that nature, and they either get applied to office supplies or small equipment, whatever it is that was purchased. Yes, it does get allocated correctly, but the bill itself is paid directly in one lump sum to.
Yeah, I understand that part, but I was just wondering, it's
Yeah, I
like
do
$4,000 or
allocate.
$5,000 a month, so, it's kind of opaque, so it's not really clear what's happening there. And I just,
Okay, well, like I said, it comes in the US bank statement and it's listed line by line item. And I pay it through there, and usually Christina codes what was for the police, what was for us, and
I don't code it, I identify.
yeah.
yeah,
And then I code it and put it in, so,
okay,
yeah, but it is allocated correct.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, George. Any other comments on the bills list?
John Eldridge, 1634 Hilltop Road. The bills list, it used to contain more of an accounts payable for purchases. And it would be, say, asphalt, 10 tons, $500 a ton, and multiply it out. Now, we've got so much information here on FICA and salaries that I don't think we would define as a bills list.
But they're expenses that get paid every
Yeah,
month.
but it's not called an expense list, it's a bills list. We're looking for a bills list.
Well, we pay those bills to paycheck.
And then, so, next, is there bills list for the funds, the general fund, the open space fund?
There is a bill list for the general fund. If you look at the expenditures page, it tells you capital reserve, the bill was for LTL consultants. Capital equipment was for Fitch Electronics. Road improvement was for the bond payment, and the sewer fund was for LTL consultants.
Okay, so it's not
all-
on a page like this.
No, because there was only one check for each fund, so it seems silly to make a bills list with just one bill when you could just put it right there. I mean,
And because one of the things like sort of buried way deep in this is the 169,000 police vehicle maintenance. And it says in here, police vehicle maintenance,
it does.
and that's
then
wrong.
It was wrong. It was coded wrong by the previous administration, and I corrected it this month.
Yeah, and it's sort of hard to pick out these billed items when when you include payroll and taxes but I guess it's just a
We're trying to
decision
be
we would make.
transparent so that you can see all the expenses for the entire month that the township pays. You can't just say a bills list and approve that, because there are all these other expenses that also have to get paid, and they're part of what we take out of the general fund every month. So to say, okay, we're just going to pay these bills and approve that bills list, then you negate approving all the other payments that were made.
Okay, and then I would note that it starts on April 14th,
Yes.
and I think last month's bills list ended in May. I don't know, they do.
Well, it depends what day the previous meeting, when we ended the checks, and then like the next day, I start cutting checks again, so they have to be approved at the next meeting. So the checks are cut from the day after, like today is the 19th. So tomorrow's the 20th. The next bill run will start on the 20th of this month and run to the end of next month.
Okay. So there's, with that 60-day window, there's not really related to a month's expense, a 30-day month's.
Well, the problem is if we cut it off at the end of the month, then we have a lot of bills that come in the first week of the following month. That would take another 30 days to get paid, and then we get hit with late fees. So we try to pay them within a certain window so that we're not getting hit with late fees.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Anyone else? We have a motion to approve the bills list. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passed. Managers report.
You know,
This could be brief.
it is very brief. I've been acclimating myself to what's going on in the township and relying on what the previous manager had put up for this month. So I apologize, I don't have a report, but I will have one next month.
Oh, Mark, I forgot to ask if I need to amend the agenda to add an item under old business. And do we do that now?
Sure.
Okay, I would like to add the Markham report under old business. May I have a motion to that effect?
I would like to make the motion to add the Markham report to old business.
Thank you very much. I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we have good, we don't have something here, so that's good. We have finally, at long last, I think it came in at 6:10 this morning or something, gotten the document that we've been working on and waiting for quite a while. You're posed, you got the glasses on, you're ready to read it okay. So here we go.
Okay. To the West Vincent Township, Pennsylvania Board of Supervisors. Markham LLP, Markham, was engaged by the West Vincent Township Board of Supervisors, the board, in January 2023 to conduct a limited scope investigation of certain accounting records and financial transactions. At that time, Markham agreed to provide a verbal report of its initial findings to the board. This verbal presentation was made in March 2023. Subsequent to this verbal presentation, the board requested Markham provide a summary of its findings and observations. The following summary is provided in response to the board request. Summary of findings from limited internal investigation. In January of 2023, the West Vincent Township engaged the certified public accounting firm of Markham to inspect township accounting and financial records and perform inquiries relating to selected financial transactions. Markham was not engaged to perform an audit or examination of the township's financial statements pursuant to GASB or other regulatory authorities. The financial transactions in question occurred during a period of several months beginning in 2022 through February 2023, a time where the township employed several individuals and a certified public accounting firm to act as the township treasurer. As part of its investigation, Markham interviewed select township personnel and consultants and inspected selected township business records, including, but not limited to, electronic QuickBooks, accounting records, bank statements, and supporting documentation, credit card statements, financial statements, and other relevant business records. Markham found township employees and consultants did not always adhere to established accounting procedures and best practices during the period of time in question. Specifically, duplicate payments were made, creating credit balances on a township credit card. Applications for new credit cards were submitted without proper authorization and subsequently canceled. And bank account statements were not timely reconciled to the QuickBooks accounting records, resulting in material inaccuracies in certain township financial records. Despite Markham's finding of inconsistent accounting practices and inaccurate reports, Markham did not identify any loss of township funds due to the improper actions of any township employee or consultant acting in a position of township treasurer or otherwise. Finally, since the time in question, Markham confirmed the township treasurer has taken steps to remediate identified deficiencies in accounting procedures. From our interaction with township personnel, we understand that the township is continuing to correct prior accounting deficiencies and is endeavoring to implement accepted accounting and business practices going forward. And it's signed, very truly yours, Ricardo Zayas from Markham.
Thank you very much.
you.
The next item on the agenda is to adopt.
Comments on that?
Oh, yeah, which I sort of forgot to say any comments, but I did scan for you. Barry wants to, Barry's after you in line.
Well, I guess. George Delfino's 1415 Hollow.
Mhm.
So Bernie said there was no fraud.
True.
What you read
That's
is,
book counting.
but you read something about credit cards being opened right, without approval,
Yes, we did.
and that's not fraud.
I refer those things to our
It
lawyer.
wasn't determined to be a fraudulent act, but the employee that did that is no longer with the
It was a
township.
concern, which is part of what precipitated all of this. It was
Okay.
investigated.
And the other thing we heard since March is you weren't quite happy with the wording of the report. And now you have a report that was just created, I take it.
It's been in the works for quite a while.
So this is that was like 3 months ago that we heard that. So this is a 3-month effort to create this written report, is that?
Mark?
No.
This was a 3-month effort to obtain a report from Markham. I mean, that is actually a written report signed by the partner at the accounting firm that did the research. So it wasn't as if we created that report and we've been trying to get Markham to sign on to it. This was a situation where we have made a request from Markham for a written report and we just received it.
So we had a draft that we weren't happy with?
They had a draft that the township wasn't necessarily in agreement with, correct?
Because they left it open-ended and wanted us to pay more money to do more stuff.
Did we have to pay to get this report?
I don't think
It's
so.
yet to be determined.
We're not planning on paying for this report. We could just say that much.
Thank you.
We've been
Okay,
unhappy with that part of it.
Barry?
Barry Deliberate, 1012 Pottstown Pike, Chester Springs, but you do that already. So I'm interested in this because at the last meeting that I think several people were here at, we heard that there was no written report. Thanks to John. Did I get that right, John? There was nothing in your right to know? There was no written report?
No, they didn't apply, they couldn't find something that applied. or something.
Okay, so I don't quite understand. So there was no written report, but we spoke about a written report at many meetings before that. But there was no written report for him, but now there's a written report for him. And then at the last meeting, there was nothing in the contract for a written report or a verbal report. So I guess they were just going to come with their information and kind of nod knowingly.
No, that's not.
There was nothing. That's what was said at the last one. There was nothing in the contract about a verbal
It was
report.
a verbal report that was in the contract.
So there was one. Okay, because I'll go back and check the video on
Disclose
that.
that. You can go back to the video because I
Okay,
checked it.
I'll make
too.
sure on that.
Absolutely disclose
So,
that.
okay, so now we do have a written one. And I noticed the word was signed by,
The partner in
This is
Signed.
issued by Markham, correct?
It's
who wrote it?
letterhead.
by,
Markham wrote it.
You're absolutely sure that Markham wrote that?
It's a letter from Markham. Yes, they wrote this. It's signed by the,
It wasn't written by somebody else and then they signed it? You're sure about that?
mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you, Barry. Any other comments? Megan?
Megan Emery, 1506 Cedar Mill Road. in that you found so much problems, and thank you, Jackie, for that enormous amount of work you must have done to
You're
get it
welcome.
right. Yeah, it's huge.
Happy to get it all straight.
What do you do in the future so that this doesn't happen again? It looks like there is an apparent lack of process, an apparent lack of follow-up and oversight. And a lot of people had complained about the management in this township because there was a lack of information on a regular basis. So what are the Board of Supervisors prepared to do in order to assure this never happens again? Because theft could have been, because it didn't appear there was any oversight by the management.
Well, let me say, there's a new sheriff in town, and I follow the rules, I am by the book, and the finances will always be accurate, and we're an open book. You know, anybody who wants to see records, they're available. We're transparent, and we really are moving forward, and we have straightened a lot of stuff out. So moving forward, we should never encounter this again. And this board works really hard with the manager. So, and they ask me a gazillion questions, and it's fine because they should. And so I think moving forward, the township and the council will do an excellent job of keeping people informed and keeping the record straight.
And thank you for that. That's huge. But what happened for a year and some months before that? How concerned are you about something like that going on within the township where $230-some thousand wasn't, had to be found and applied? It's just bad business.
Thank you. Any other comments? Now we would like to adopt ordinance 204 of 2023, amending the duties and responsibilities of the Environmental Advisory Council.
I will make the motion to adopt ordinance 204-2023, amending the duties and responsibilities of the Environmental Advisory Council.
I'll second that.
Questions?
Any questions? Mark, do you want to do a preface or just?
No, I mean, if
Okay.
there's any public comment, certainly this would be the opportunity.
When we published this to announce that we'd be adopting tonight, one of us, I'm not sure who, described the reason we felt the need for this was because the original ordinance was published in 1992, before we had an open space committee or a sustainability committee or a historical commission. So at the time, the EAC had the responsibility for all of that. And it wasn't fair for them to keep having to grapple with an ordinance that described responsibilities now taken by other organizations, other advisory committees within the township. And EAC discussed it at a recent meeting, and it was pretty unanimous that they liked it. So that's where we are. Any comments? Would like to call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passed. New business. This is a funny little word here. We are accepting the Clean Energy Transition Reports from the Vision Partnership Program grant. This is the material that was presented at our June 5th workshop in this room. So I think you do a motion and then we can answer
Do we have
questions.
to do a motion on that? We're just accepting it.
Oh, okay,
Just
yeah.
accepting.
Yes, I think we can talk about it, but because we're accepting it, it's like acknowledging receipt of something. So any questions regarding that? The reason why I
And I do
said,
believe the whole presentation is up on our website. If it's not, it's going to be, right?
It is up on
It does have to.
okay, come on up, Kirk.
Thank you, Dave.
The reason it's called accepting is because that's the condition of the grant. And we will be establishing a committee that will be taking further steps to implement things and improve on the products. You're Kirk.
Kirk Reinbold, 670 Birch Run Road. It is kind of a funny word. And on behalf of the Clean Energy Transition Team, thank you for accepting the plans.
Thanks, Kirk. Kirk and Kathy and Dave Weber and a lot of other people have worked very hard on that and started training. When did that class start? In the 2020, fall of 2020? So they took a year's worth of courses on clean energy, transitioning, reducing fossil fuel use and stuff. Then they brought it to a lot of people and got a coalition of 4 municipalities together, and that coalition continues to work together. And tomorrow night, there is a Clean Energy 101 presentation at the Henkin Library. They would like you to register with the library ahead of time. You can go in person or it's at my dinner time, so I'm going to be cooking while I participate in the Zoom version. But this is not the start, it's a continuation of outreach by our clean energy team to help our residents become aware of the options available to become less reliant on fossil fuels and look more towards renewable energy. So, okay, anything else on that? The next item is to adopt Resolution 14 of 2023, establishing Litter Lifters Ad Hoc Committee. And actually, it's Litter Lifters of West Vincent, right? Okay, I notice our agenda missed the essential point.
I make the motion to adopt resolution number 14-2023, establish litter lifters of West Vincent Township Ad Hoc Committee.
I second that. Any questions on this one? No, there's a smile back there. There's several, we didn't vote yet, so.
Sorry.
She might say no, no.
So, okay, let's call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carried. No,
Thank you.
and you're welcome. I'm looking forward to much more good news from you guys.
And we thank you for everything that you've done to this point. We appreciate all of your hard work.
And I suspect there's some people who don't know what a champion of cleaning up our streets and public areas Beth has been, but she has carried this to the county and helped them increase their awareness. And, you know, one of these days she's going to be working for the county as their litter queen or something. And so.
The state.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but wouldn't PennDOT make her go to Harrisburg once in a while? Then you'd be worrying about cleaning up the turnpike. Okay, so anyway, it's wonderful, all of the good volunteer help that we get here in West Vincent. Thank you. We voted, we said yes, they said thank you. Now we're going on to the next one. We have a bid from MECO, all caps contractors, in the amount of $313,500 for stormwater improvements and the paving of Flowing Springs and Hollow Road.
And I'll make the motion to accept the bid from MECO Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $313,500 for stormwater improvements and paving of Flowing Springs and Hollow Roads.
I will second that. Is there any, Tom, would you come up to the microphone, please?
Tom Helwig, 2034 Pottstown Pike, Spring City. What is the scope of the paving on Flowing Springs Road? Is it from the post office down to the end of the road at the township line where it comes into South Coventry?
I believe it is that, because the rest of Flowing Springs is a state road.
Okay. Why are we going to repave a huge section of that that really doesn't need any repaving?
This is not a full paving project. This is something I think is called a running course. It's a thinner layer that is put on top of a pretty good road that will extend the life of it. You might have noticed on Hollow Road that there are a lot of places that have little white paint marks identifying.
Flowing Springs Road, same way.
Okay, well, I used Hollow more, sorry. But those little things are indicating places that it's going to fail or it's already cracking. And so those areas will be remediated before this running course gets on top.
Good.
And that is to extend the life of it without the expense of a full paving job.
But you're going to put a new surface on the entire length.
Mhm.
My question here is, why are we putting a new surface on a section of the road, a very large section of the road, which is up on top of the hill behind where I live, that actually is really in good shape? There's nothing wrong with that. Now, there are sections of Flowing Springs Road, which is like driving through sections of Ukraine. It's ridiculous. Potholes big enough to swallow a cow.
I'm
And I
sorry.
think these need to be repaired, clearly. But I am concerned about the expenditure of money where money does not need to be expended. There are
Okay.
sections of that road that are in perfect condition right now.
Thank
Why are
you.
we gonna repave on that?
I'm really sorry that our township engineer, Ed Ladshaw, is not here. He would be able to give you more technical information. Unfortunately, he has the flu, and we asked him to please stay away. So we can look into that, the answer to that question, and get back to you. But I'm not a road guy.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Tom.
We could look into the sections that you're asking about because it's probably on the plan too.
Any other comments? We have a motion to accept this bid. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Now we're getting into fun stuff. We are accepting a trail easement agreement with Valley Forge Vineyard Incorporated for the Fellowship Trail segment on their property. And this is the Vineyard Church at the corner of 401 and Fellowship Road. So we're just acknowledging acceptance of that. The next item, though, is related.
I'll make the motion to authorize payment to Valley Forge Vineyard, Inc. in the amount of $15,000 for the Fellowship Trail easement.
I will second that. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Okay, now you do that.
Okay. I would just like to make an announcement that we will be accepting applications for the following committees which have openings: EAC, Litter Lifters, Human Relation, Trail Plan Implementation, and Sustainability. Some of those are just new committees that or new ad hoc committees that we want to make sure people know about and have a chance to express their interest.
And we're always interested in
Always.
volunteers for any of our voluntary committees, advisory committees, because several of these are somebody suddenly moving out of the area, things like that, and you just, you think you've got the committee is set and they're just cooking, and then somebody says, I'm sorry, I have to go. So keep your cards and letters coming in. The application is on the website, and it will be a while before we make some of those appointments.
Yeah, we do want to get the newsletters coming out shortly, which will hit all of the residents and give everyone an opportunity.
Yeah, it's the mailed newsletter that goes to every address.
And just saying also, it's always good to put a few different things you're interested in because you may not be able to get on one right away, but another one might be open. Hope to see more volunteers.
Anyone here tonight wants to, we'll send you the link for the application. Okay, now we have to approve a greenway boundary adjustment for Karkoska, is that pretty close? Yeah, okay, at 1684 Cedar Mill Road.
I'll make the motion to approve the Greenway Boundary Adjustment Plan for 1684 Cedar Mill Road.
I will second that. Any discussion? Come on.
What does that mean?
Okay, please get Megan Emery, a previously stated address says, what does that mean? Okay. You want to tell them or do you want me to try? Well, you correct me, okay. Okay, this is a property that the original subdivision was 15, 20 years or longer ago. It was Cook's Apple Orchard way back when, and it's just down at right before the big curve. Speaking to someone who lives at the Flowing Springs end of that road. I've got to look at it to see if I can do it. Kirkoskas would like to do is to move the designated building site from up close to the road to further back on the property, which means realigning the greenway because they now want to put greenway up front and move their house back. And so is that pretty close? Reverse. Okay, come on up for a minute, would you? Come to the,
You have documentation.
Craig Kirkoska, future address 1684 Cedar Mill Road.
okay,
Someday. Anyway, so what we proposed to do was we had 14 and a half acres. There was 2 building lots. One was up along the road at 2.41 acres, and there was a building lot separated in the back that was 0.5 acres. So what we proposed to do was abandon the 0.5 acres, connect it to the 2.41 acres, and have a 2.91 acre lot in the front that just horseshoed off of it. And by abandoning the back, that created the whole back of the property as greenway instead of having 2 separate parcels there that you could build a house up front, then in the back and disturb the back area. We combined the 2, so they're all up front now.
I should
So
have
there'll
let
only
you
be
come
one
up
lot.
right away.
I'm sorry.
I should have let you come up right at
That's
the
okay.
very beginning.
So that'll combine the property to 1 building envelope. The previous owner wanted to do 4 houses or something. We bought it from him and we moved that. And we've gotten the Planning Commission, Chester County Planning Commission approved it. The West Vincent County Planning Commission approved it. So we just need the final approval tonight, and then maybe we can build a house.
So that's what we're doing
Sounds so
is,
easy from here out, right?
It was,
So-
this was the hard part.
so we have a motion to approve this adjustment plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Nice to see you. Hope you can keep coming to meetings while you're waiting for the building of the house, but
Probably going to be pretty busy.
she's going to get you building it really soon, isn't she? Good. Well, welcome to West Vincent.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to authorize the advertisement of some bids.
I make the motion to authorize the advertisement for bids for Janie Lane Stormwater Management improvements. To be improvements.
Improve-
Trying to read it.
Improvements. I will second that. This is, you've been hearing about the problems with Janie Lane drainage for quite a long time. And we have a plan. We've been working with the residents along the road as to how we're going to improve. You did it to me.
No, it does say approve on there.
So anyway, we're going to be improving some of the stormwater inlets, piping some of the water from one inlet to the next so it's not bubbling out so much. And there will be some easements for stormwater inlets and outlets along the way, and all of that legal part is in the work, but now we need to authorize bidding the contract work. The vexing thing about this project is that it is one of 3 projects in West Vincent that is going to be held up by the long-eared bats. The long-eared bats were recently recognized by the federal government, federal wildlife, as a threatened, not endangered, but threatened species. And it apparently took a while for that message to trickle down to Harrisburg, but they are now reviewing permits for risks to the long-eared bats. Has anybody who's lived here for a long time ever seen one? Maybe we could write a note.
I don't think I know the difference between a long ear or a short ear, but
One
I see
has
that.
longer ears.
I have to compare them.
I'll show you a picture. It is so obvious. But, and our engineer Norm, who's really the road expert, said what he believes at DEP was they had this big stack of plans, permit applications. It's a PIND permit, that they always have big stacks, but they pulled back recently issued ones, I think to get more in line with the federal recognition of the threatened nature date. And they're on the top. We were there, getting close to the top, but now we've got all these old ones that they pulled back. So that project is one of them. But in the meantime, once they get the bat straightened out, we want to be ready to go. I think I commented enough. Does anybody else? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carried. Yeah, okay. The last one, this one's very exciting. I'll let you read it, though.
Okay, I make the motion to authorize payment to Ludwig's Corner Fire Company in the amount of $200,000 for the budgeted 2022 and 2023 contribution for the purchase of their new apparatus.
I second that motion. Any questions from the floor? Karis?
Karis Egan, 1912 Kimberton Road. Is this the fire truck? Okay, all right, thank you.
Mhm. Anything else? We've made this commitment to the fire company, but the truck is being delivered soon. And so we had said, when you get the truck, you'll get the money. So we're lining up for that too. Any other questions? Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carried. Now, we move to public comment, and we have an invited guest who didn't make it on the agenda. Kirk, would you like to introduce your colleague here?
Sure. Kirk Reinbold. I'd like to introduce John Connolly from PICO Small Business Solutions Program. One of the things we're doing a lot around here is community outreach, and PICO has a lot of programs that could help not only residents, but people in apartments, as well as small businesses in the area, take advantage of what PICO has to offer. Most of these are, really fantastic rebates on the amount that you would typically pay for things. So John wants to talk about the program that he'd like to offer specifically to West Vincent businesses.
Welcome, John, before we adjourn.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for inviting me. My name is John Connolly, and I'm the program manager for the PICO Small Business Solutions Program, which is an energy efficiency program, serving all of PICO's territory. So Philadelphia, Montgomery, Bucks, Chester, Delaware counties, and a little bit of York. We have been, we started this phase of the Pennsylvania Act 129 program. We're in our second year of it. And we've been kicking around this idea of sort of a geocentric or a blitz campaign on a focused area. And I tried to engage some various chambers of commerce in that effort, and I didn't get very far. And then along came Kirk, who called me up, and we started talking, and I found a tremendous ally in him and his team that I'm very grateful for. And so our approach is to do a little bit of an experiment. And our experiment is to put our resources into serving the businesses of West Vincent Township in a concentrated effort and see what works. How successful are we? We're going to mail a postcard into I should back up just by saying that my analysis of, I have a record that has all of the eligible businesses for my program. My program serves small commercial, meters or rate types. So using a list of all eligible customers in the entire PICO territory and narrowing it down to those that I believe are all of the small commercial accounts in Westminster Township, we have 1,070 of them, or almost 1,100 of them. Wow. Everybody seems surprised by that number, but you'd be surprised sometimes. There can be multiple accounts or meters associated with one business, so it doesn't mean there's 1,100 businesses necessarily. And some folks, farms or home-based businesses, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's 1,100 signs, for businesses on the street. But in terms of qualifying accounts, there are 1,100 of them. 137 approximately in Ludwig's Corner. So we're going to do our best to send out a postcard and an email to all the email addresses that we have. We're going to ask Kirk to put out an additional notification in their email. We'll ask everybody who has social media associated with the township to sort of push something out. A week from tomorrow, Tuesday, I'm going to walk and try and visit the 137 businesses in Ludwig's Corner personally myself. I'll have 2 helpers with me, and if that takes more than one day, so be it. But what we're going to do is try and visit all of those that are practical to visit on foot. The purpose of the program is, the main push is with lighting. So we're going to go into all the businesses that we can, and if they don't have the newest, most efficient LED lights, then we want to get them an energy assessment by one of the contractors that works with us. There's 41 of them currently. The energy assessment's free of charge, and they will propose a project to upgrade or retrofit their lighting, either by replacing the lamps or bulbs or by replacing the entire fixture. These are LED lamps I can see in hi-hat fixtures. Another way to go is, I'm sure everybody's familiar with the new LED fixtures that replace those with just a flat sort of surface mounted puck. Okay, that's just an example. High bays in warehouses and low bays and every imaginable sort of commercial and industrial lighting is what we're concentrating on. The rebates from PICO, or the incentives, pay up to 100% of the lighting project. They always pay the majority. Sometimes they pay 100% of it. So they're very generous with regard to lighting. We also have more modest incentives with regard to heating, ventilating, air conditioning, compressed air, refrigeration, and some other measures. So maybe you'll see me around next week. I'm going to focus a lot of my energy and time here and make myself available to all of the 1,100 businesses Westminster Township for a visit, and then hopefully we'll serve a lot of the businesses and capture a lot of savings. And then I'd be happy to come back, maybe say maybe 2-3 months later after the full cycle of installation, to share with everyone the results of that effort and to see just how much energy, how many kilowatt hours or megawatts, if we get there, projected savings in a year. And I think that's all I have to say about that. I have a lot of business cards with me. I'd be happy to share one with anybody. I encourage everybody who has a business or knows someone who has a business or gets a haircut at a business or gets a pizza somewhere to let them know, give them a heads up that we're coming and we want to serve them. And the return on investment for them, if any, will be very quick. And after which they'll be saving energy every month for the life of the product, which is at least 10 years.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for John? We'll let you go last.
Fair enough.
No, you first. Sarita, yeah, please come up, share the microphone with him.
Okay.
And then Barry, and then Kirk, unless somebody gets in ahead of Kirk.
Sarita Silent, 1225 Schoolhouse Lane, Chester Springs. My question is, what would be some of the objections to this?
I haven't heard any yet. I think maybe Maybe you mean like the barriers to the business, to going ahead with the business.
What you're thinking, what
Well-
you're proposing and what you'd like to have, what would be some of the objections that the businesses would have to do that, work with you?
Okay, so
Thank you.
the first barrier that we meet is that people don't believe that it's a real thing and try and shoo us away from the business because they think we're one of those people who are trying to sell them electricity or something like that, or get them to switch electricity. The second is that there, in most cases, will be some amount of copay. It may be 10 or it may be 50% of the total project cost. The business owner may not have any money to put toward that. So they can speak with the contractor who might be able to propose an amended scope and come in with a lower copay. But those are the two barriers, generally speaking. Even if it's a very modest output, some folks don't have it in their budget and don't have it to spend.
Thank you. Good question, Sarita. Barry?
I just want to thank you for the power strip I got. You guys sent out a package to the businesses. I don't know if you're even aware of that. It was some kind of really cool energy efficient power strip in it and a really cool nightlight, LED nightlight that came in it. And unfortunately, I did all of mine last year, so it's all on my dime. Everything went LED last year, so I'm not going to get it. So everybody take the savings they can from them because I was a little too early on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
We didn't send that out in this phase, but maybe it was from the previous phase, but I'm glad.
I got it like 4 weeks ago. So
Tom?
blame it on the mail.
Wasn't from my program, but that's fantastic.
It was Pico though.
I believe that. There's a lot of
You could
different.
sell it.
Mine's simple. Tom Helwig. How do we know if you're on the list?
It's a simple thing for me to look up or for any of the contractors to look up based on your address in an online application system that I have standing by. If you'd like to give me a card or something, I'd be happy to email you back later tonight or tomorrow morning and tell you if you're on the list.
And Karis next. Boy, Kirk, they're lining up in front of you.
Not a question, just a comment. If you're not a business, I know as a private resident, we had Pico come out and do an energy assessment for free on our house and got probably $150 worth of light bulbs and energy efficient power strips and lots of really good tips on how to reduce our utility bill and increase our energy efficiency. So it is through a separate program. You have to kind of take the initiative, but you can do it as a private resident as well.
Thank you, Karis.
And I think Kirk is plugged in with those folks as well. In fact, isn't someone coming to the library presentation tomorrow evening, or did I have that wrong?
Yes.
From the residential side of things.
Yeah, the residential.
And it was a township meeting that
And I'll be there for that. So Pennsylvania has, PICO has a heavy obligation to meet the energy reduction demands put forth by Pennsylvania Act 129. And in that effort, if you ever turn on KYW or something, you'll hear about PICO ways to save all the time for the home and business. So it's a massive effort, always, and there are different channels, if you will. So mine's just targeted at small business. There's residential. There's also large business. It's a much bigger bucket than mine.
Thank you. Anyone else before we let Kirk come back? Okay, come on, Kirk, quick.
There was another program that we did through PICO called the multifamily, which is really for people that are renting from apartments. And those are challenging. So they came out last February, and this was a story that was online and on the township. And they went to Camp Hill Village, Kimberton Hills. They spent about 3 or 4 days there. They replaced over 650 light bulbs and in over 30 structures there that were all basically residences or apartments for their folk. And we estimate that's over $4,000 a year they're going to save.
We're also going to return and serve them. So that program dealt with inside the residential unit. And so we're going to see what opportunities we can save them energy and money for the exterior or the commercial style fixtures.
Because they have the bakery, they have a cafe, they have the dairy barn. So, and just to confirm,
Craft shop.
yes. So your program also does nonprofits, like a church
Of course,
or a municipal building like this building?
yes.
Okay.
Super.
Thank you.
Kirk, is the incentive for the residential program still in place?
Yes, it is, until September 1st. If you are a resident of West Vincent, a residential energy assessment is typically $49. And you get that in just the LEDs. But they are offering every resident from West Vincent a $10 discount, which doesn't sound like much. But if you will get a report telling you what else that you might want to take a look at in your house. There's lots of things that people don't think about. But if you send that report into the township building, the township will reimburse you the remaining $39.99. So it costs you nothing. And our group gets to know who has done what in our township so that we can, be able to use you or have you talk to other residents.
Or help them.
Or help them, yes.
Now, Kirk, will they be offering the straight up free option if you go to the library?
Yes,
So you don't have as much back and forth?
yes.
So tomorrow night?
If you go tomorrow night to Hankin Library at 6, you can sign up and you don't have to do anything, and they'll come and do it for free.
And the program is called Clean Energy 101.
Yes, yeah. And also, it's a hybrid program, so you can not even go, you can watch it online. And they said that they will offer to, if you email them and say that you attended the meeting online, they will extend the offer to you as well.
Wonderful.
So lots of ways that you can save.
So good work.
So and just to remind everyone, this is Act 129 that was implemented 2008.
14 years ago.
Yeah, 2008. And it's paid for by the money that comes out of your PICO bill every year. You might as well use it, right? So it's there.
Good. Any other questions for John or Kirk? Okay.
Thank you, Kurt, for bringing up the churches, because that's something that we're doing a lot of, all kinds of houses of worship. Also schools, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools are a little big usually, but thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John. John was here for our presentation a couple of weeks ago, so he's getting to know our neighborhood pretty well. Are there any other public? I see one coming now, a public comment.
Can I make a quick motion about
A motion?
no, quick mention about Sunday while we're talking clean energy?
Oh,
Okay.
do you mind
No, we can
waiting?
wait.
for-
I can wait, I don't care.
She'll wait.
I just want to make sure everyone is aware that we are having a shredding and battery recycling event Sunday at Ludwig Corner Horse Show. So it is 9 to 12, and bring out anything that you want shredded, any batteries you want recycled, and that will be done.
It's household batteries, and they don't want the,
Yeah, we don't want the lithium.
thank you very much. Okay.
Glad, and now I have another question. I was going to ask two already. Julia Brendel, 2472 Flowing Springs Road. On that note, do we ever do the recycling, like the anything with a plug recycling here?
I don't think we have ever done it. You know that next Tuesday, there's a program at the Warwick County Park for appliances and electronics. There's a fee. I have this big TV that I would love to take, but I can't carry it out of my house. So, but I would have to pay $30 for them to take.
For a TV?
For a
big
yeah.
TV.
And they say for old computer monitors, it's 20, but almost everything is no cost. And the stuff is being collected by the county solid waste. So look, I think we posted
Did you post it?
But.
Okay. That's one of my questions. I actually had two other questions.
So yours was anything with a plug?
Like anything with a plug, because I know that it's hard to recycle some of that stuff sometimes, and you can't recycle like old televisions and all that kind of stuff. You can't throw them away.
And also before our event on Sunday, which is by the way, it's in conjunction with Katie Muth and Kristen Howard. So they were doing the shredding. We kind of jumped on to do the batteries with them. They are also having household hazardous waste on Friday in Coatesville. So that's through, Kristen Howard is also advertising that. So
Got it.
you might find that they can take some of these things.
Maybe we could take the action to make sure it gets posted.
Yeah.
Both of those things get on our
Yeah,
website.
Mary's
Right.
working on it.
Okay.
I'll ask her about the other two.
All right, so the questions actually came up here for us. So two different things that we haven't heard about in a long time in any of our meetings. And I'm just wondering what's the status or what's going on with, one, our police station.
What did Bernie say the last time he was asked? I will tell you that we are looking at alternatives to what you saw presented last summer. And we hope to be able to make an announcement on one of them soon, but we're working at the intricacies of how we would finance. And so,
Okay,
so that's, we haven't given up on it, but we're trying to come up with a better cost and better plan.
okay. So something should be coming down the pike at some point in time soon.
It's just on Jackie's to-do list.
Yeah, that's
All right, Jackie.
top of her list.
Right,
We've been making her work really hard this week.
right. The other thing that.
Last 3 days.
There's something else on
The other thing that we haven't heard from, and I don't know whether you have an answer on any of this, is what's going on with the Bennett property?
I want you all to listen, put your ears to the ground, and ask your father. We have heard that McKee withdrew, but I haven't been able to confirm it. I heard from neighbors
Okay.
there.
Well, because they've definitely, they had some of the lots, they had one lot listed for a while, then they withdrew that. And I know that the tenant or the person that lives on the property has actually been doing some upgrades to her pastures and things like that, which doesn't sound like if she knew that the thing was was going soon, like putting in new fences and stuff like that. So we haven't heard anything at this level.
No, if you hear anything, please let us know.
Okay.
I know that the neighbors are very interested still
Right.
in how they might help save it. So if you have ideas about that, you remember Stephanie Lindquist.
Right, of course, yeah.
Get in touch with Steph.
Right, okay, so, all right.
Yep, so we don't have any update on
Okay,
that.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Oh, here comes George. But I want to know what joke Peter made that you all thought was so much fun.
I don't know. So I just wanted a few clarifications on last Tuesday's meeting. So if I understood what was said at the meeting, our previous manager departed by resignation, and we paid him a severance payment that was called for in his agreement.
We did not yet pay it. We will be paying it.
Okay, we intended to pay him a severance agreement, and that severance payment, and that payment was going to be 3 months of salary because
That's what I read.
his agreement called
Remember, I wasn't here. I read that in minutes, though.
1 month per year of employment.
He was just shy of 3 years.
Oh, he was just past 3 years by then.
So,
We hired him in April.
Oh, regardless.
okay, well, one problem is, as far as I understand now, he did not have an employment agreement with the township?
I'm going to let Mark answer that because he knows about those things.
Yeah, well, I wasn't solicitor at the time, but my understanding is that there was an agreement. He was hired under specific terms, and that those terms applied for a period of time, not including up to last week, but that was, I think, 18 months.
So what agreement were we referring to then at the time, last week?
That was the agreement.
Okay, so from what I understand here, his agreement expired in 2022?
That's right, but he was reappointed twice.
He was reappointed, but without an employment agreement.
Well, those things, yeah.
There's nothing in here
Maybe
that
from a
says-
technical standpoint.
Technically, it says this agreement expires.
Correct. I don't disagree with that.
Okay. Well, the other issue, I guess, is if you were operating under his old agreement, the old agreement explicitly says that there is no severance for voluntary resignation.
Well, we can't, the fact that that agreement may or may not have been in place, it was a guidepost, so to speak, for issues related to the township manager leaving employment under the township. So it was the prerogative of the board to look at the provisions of that agreement, the fact that it was in place for almost 2 years, the fact that the manager was here for over 3 years and had been reappointed twice after that agreement. So the board has wide latitude to make those types of decisions.
Well, I agree. The board
We
can.
haven't actually agreed to a severance agreement yet. So we would be working on that with the former manager.
So you actually, so what you announced last week had not.
Well, the intent is to pay for 3 months.
Years, because this explicitly says severance is paid for termination, but not voluntary resignation.
I agree, that's what it says. You're right.
Okay, and you agree he voluntarily resigned?
He did voluntarily resign, yes. We have a resignation letter from him.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. If we're still here at 9 o'clock, you'll know who did it.
I don't need but 5 minutes. Real quick, couple things. Police station, so you're still working on the project, so, but it sounds good. It won't be 7 million, might be 6 million now instead? Because originally the price was 5 to 7 million.
We don't.
You're looking at trying to get that price down a little?
We don't have any numbers now because we're looking at a different solution.
Oh, okay, so it's a whole different thing. Could be 10 million.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm certain that it's going to be much less and more suitable to a lot of people.
Good, okay. You mentioned, I have to come back to this, I'm real sorry about that, I feel like Columbo here. You have to be a certain age on that one. Why wasn't the GASB standard applied to this forensic audit?
I think it was because it was done after.
Right, so it wasn't an audit that, I mean, the township pays auditors
Mm-hmm.
to issue audit reports, and
Sure.
those have to be up to certain standards.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't that type of audit report. This was a forensic audit report that was very specific in what these, accountants were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't something that they could put their name to an annual report and say, all of the practices of the township were up to that standard to a certain,
That would have been a
like
lot
it
more
happens
than
every year.
$25,000 too, by the way.
It doesn't sound like we got a lot to begin with, so the
Yeah.
25,000, I'd go back and get about 24. The contract for John Granger, when you guys signed that originally, well, not you, Dana, because you weren't here. You weren't here.
She's innocent.
Started at 100. In fact, Mike Schneider signed that contract, by the way. He was the chair at the time, so was for $135,000. And George says it was up January 2022, right? Dana, did you know it had expired? Because everything.
No, I did know that it was expired, but I was told that it was still in play.
Okay,
We were getting this information from Mark about what was valid.
okay, well, get back 24/5. So no contract. Counselor here says it's something for consideration. 135,000, if you want to do the math on that, that's 11,250 every month. So that's your tax dollars at $34,000, or roughly $6 for every man, woman, and child in this township. If it's 6,000, which I've heard that number is about the right number right now, $6 out of everybody's pocket to give to Granger for a contract that expired a year and a half ago. So if you let that go, I might think about filing a surcharge on that, and then it'll come out of your own pockets. And I'll do it for all of these people right here. So think very carefully about giving away $34,000 of their money. Thank you.
Hi, Tom Helwig. You know, I'm just a poor old dumb guy that used to teach people how to fly airplanes, so I'm not very savvy. But I got to tell you, there are rules. You sign a contract, the contract's there. Hopefully the contract was written by somebody who's got less than a fourth grade or more than a fourth grade education. It's pretty well explicit. You have details. That's why you have it. You're a lawyer. You know these things, right? So I'm having a whole lot of heartburn right here. Maybe it's because I spent a lot of time overseas. And I come back to the craziness that goes on here. It explicitly said in his contract, which is expired, which means he has no contract. Am I running amok here? Or help me out. But the contract that was there in place said he didn't get any severance. Correct? Or has that been
You
written?
stated it correctly.
Okay, so where do we get off giving this guy a severance? When the contract says no severance, and the fact that the contract's never been extended officially and signed off a new contract, so now he's operating without a contract. That's fine. We're in Pennsylvania, and as far as I can remember, last time I worked in this state, we're an at-will state, right? Which means that you leave, or you get fired, you get zilch. That's it. We're done now. Those are the rules. You all just want to make stuff up and go along. Oh, I just, here's 33,000, here's 10 grand, here's 300,000 for a road repair that we may or may not need. This is insanity. I don't know about y'all, but I do my shopping at Aldi, not because, I'm really a fan of the off-market brands that they sell, but it's because times are tough. Maybe you're all sitting on a whole lot of money at your house, but some of us aren't. And this type of expenditure is outrageous. And I'll go right behind him back there. You all give that money away, it's on. I'm done. Madness.
Any other comments? I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I would like to second that.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much.